Hey guys, Chelsea O Studio here, and today we're talking about some random tools that can help make your life a lot easier when you're painting with watercolors. Hey everyone, welcome back to the studio. Thank you guys so much for all the love on my last video, and thank you so much for subscribing. If you're liking what I'm putting out, subscribing is the best way to keep up to date with what's going on in the studio. Also hit that notification bell, that way you never miss a video. Today I have some tools for you guys that you might have heard of, but you might not have heard of, that can help you up your watercolor game. That's what this whole video series has been about, helping you with really easy, simple ways to improve watercolor. These 5 things are probably things that you have already, with maybe the exception of one. So hopefully you can take this video and use these tips today to make something great. The first tool that I have for you guys is extra mixing palettes. Mixing colors is one of the most time-consuming parts about using watercolor. So having extra palettes around lets you keep those colors that you've already mixed and reuse them later. Whenever you buy a watercolor palette, it will come with a mixing area usually. This is a Winsor Travel palette, and it comes with, I can open it, buddy, come on in. 3 wells. That's not a lot of space. You serious right now? That's not a lot of space, in my opinion. I'm one of those people that likes to get a little crazy whenever I mix colors, so I can really only mix 1 in each well. Some other people that might be working more small can use the corners or maybe half it, but I still don't think that's a lot of space to mix your colors. The second palette I have here is by Mozart Supplies, and I think it's their Essentials palette. I've linked it before. I'll link it again in the description. I'll link this one too. But this palette has, the lid is removable and you can use it as a mixing palette, which is pretty cool. Again, it only has 3 wells, but these are bigger. So you can see that I have mixed 3 different colors in this one that I wanted to keep. And then whenever I'm done painting, I'll usually clean out the wells that I don't want to save the paint in, so I can have that space free for the next time when I paint. So this palette's really cool. It's just a traveling mixing palette. These wells, I believe, are designed for you to be able to put your paints in, meaning like tube watercolors, but I don't use tube watercolors, so I just use this in conjunction with my other palettes, and I can still get a lot of really, really nice colors. There's 12 spaces here that I can fill. Sometimes I don't need the colors and I'll, get rid of them, but it's really nice to be able to save it if you want to use it in the future, so that's what I do. And it's got a really cool thumb hole here, so if you are traveling or working outside, you can hold it like a proper palette. I always thought that he looks like that Muppet, the one that's like, me, 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 me. Or maybe the fish from SpongeBob. Me, 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 me. All right, I'm done. The second tip that I have for you guys today is about masking fluid. So if you don't know what masking fluid is, it is a liquid that whenever it dries kind of into rubber, I guess is the best way to describe it. But it dries on top of your paper without damaging the paper, and then after you're done painting, you can take it off, which is really, really cool. This particular masking fluid is by Winsor & Newton. Very, very good stuff. Do make sure that you keep the lid on it though, because if you don't have the lid on this, then it's gonna dry in here and it'll get chunky, and you don't want that. It has a child-safe lid, and you can push down and twist. After you've used it a while, you'll notice the rubber might dry on the lid itself, which makes it a little tough to get off sometimes. Along with this masking fluid, the other 2 things I use for masking fluid are a clay tool that is the cone-shaped clay tool, and I have a rubber cement eraser somewhere. There it is. And a rubber cement eraser. This will take the masking fluid off, and this will put the masking fluid on. I have drawn out an eye here, and I need these shiny areas to stay white. And I might add a couple, maybe like over here. So what I'll do is I will open my masking fluid And I'm gonna dip this clay tool in there. Tap a little bit of it off. You can see it's on here. And then I will just push onto the masking fluid, and you should be able to see that right there. And then I'm going to do that again over here. I'm also going to demonstrate the masking fluid down here. That way you can see an immediate result, because I'll be using that eye for some more of our tools. So same thing, just masking fluid, and I'll put a couple of little dots. And then we gotta let that dry. The way you clean off the masking fluid from your tool is you can just wipe it off like this and rub your fingers together, and it'll leave like eraser shavings, or you can just wait for it to dry and peel it off. You can see that the masking fluid has dried. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some blue paint and paint over these little dots so you can see the masking fluid work. Now that the paint's dry, we can take our rubber cement eraser and remove the masking fluid. And there you go. The next tip that I have for you is about tape. If you are going to tape down your watercolors, then you need to be using a tape that is actually made for doing this. So something like duct tape would be a terrible idea. This is masking tape, and sometimes I find that even this kind of tape is a little bit too sticky. So what I'll do is I will tear the piece that is the correct length, and then I will maybe stick it to my desk a couple of times. Or my clothes or something, just to take a little bit of the stickiness out, because it will still protect your artwork, but then be less likely to rip your edges whenever you take it off. They do make tape meant specifically for this purpose, but if you can't afford that, masking tape is a good option. Washi tape can work, but sometimes it's not sticky enough, if that makes sense. You could measure this if you wanted to figure out how much of a border you want. I'm not gonna measure, just gonna tape it down. And then you would do that to all four sides. And so to take off the tape, you want to pull, but you want to pull in the opposite direction and kind of at a right angle of your artwork. So you'll see me doing that here, just like this. And it comes off no problem. So every once in a while when you're pulling the tape, it might have like a little fuzzy spot like this. Hopefully you can see that. So what you can do to clean that up is take an ink eraser or a sand eraser. That's what this is. It's a little more coarse and it has like a grit to it. You can actually use this to sand down that part and make it smooth. So you just erase with it like you normally would, and it will smoothen out, not perfectly, but it'll smooth it out enough to where it's not super noticeable. The next tool that I have for you is a hairdryer. I keep one in my office so I can use it anytime that I am painting with watercolors. Any hairdryer will do. Remember that tip from last video that I was talking about where I said bounce around or hop around? Well, if you have a hairdryer, then you don't necessarily have to do that the entire time. One thing I personally like to do is I like to paint the background first, and then I will go in with the details after that. And I don't like waiting on the background to dry because it's pretty much touching everything. And if I want to work light to dark, I need to be able to get to the areas that are touching the background. So what I'm going to do is paint the background, which in this case would be the skin around the eye. And then after I have done that, I will use the hairdryer to dry it so I can move on. Okay, so my background is done and it does still have a lot of water on it, and then I'm going to dry it. Oh, what's that? gross. Get off there. Dang it. I don't know what that was, but it totally messed it up. Oh no. Okay, I guess that's gonna be a shadow because I scratched the paper while it was wet. Don't do that. Don't scratch the paper while it's wet. So I'm touching it to see if the paper is still cold, because even though it looks dry, it's still a little cold, and that means that it's not all the way dry all the way through. Another way to tell is if it's flattened out, and it's flattened and it's not cool anymore. So looking at this, I want another layer of that skin tone, which is another good reason to have a hairdryer, because if you're trying to do a background that has multiple layers, then it is much less time consuming to do one layer, blow dry it, and then do the next layer. Okay, so I'm just gonna finish painting this and then I'll peel the tape for you guys. Okay, so I am done painting this eye here. Not bad for not having a reference. So I am going to peel the tape now. And remember, you want it to be at a 90 degree. Looking at this, I can see that there are a couple of areas that I can fix. So the tape here and a little bit of paint got on it right here. So I can use my sand eraser to get rid of this paint, just like that. And now the paint is gone. And over here, I can use the lift away technique from the last video. Scrub, scrub, scrub. And then lift. And there you have it. I hope you guys find this video useful. All the tools you see in the video I use for every single watercolor painting that I do. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. As always, if you're interested in joining my O Studio Print Club or buying some of my artwork, whether it be stickers, prints, or originals, you can go to my website at chelseaostudio.com and then follow me on social media at chelsea.o.studio. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next week. Bye!